Good evening, shalom. Welcome to this exciting event. It's lovely to see all of you here. We've got some wonderful panelists. My name is Marcus Fried. I run the Jewish Filmmakers Network. We're going to meet Allison, who runs Jew in the City Hollywood Bureau. Feel free to take photos, any DPs in the room, also non-DPs. It all helps. We can send them over afterwards. So just welcome to the Happy Minyan. I want to thank our hosts, the Happy Minyan. And there's this slight allergy at the beginning of Jewish events where you have 5 minutes of thank yous. So we'll save all the claps to the end. But thank you. Also, thanks to CSS Community Security with Melanie Ehrlich here, who's also a great actor, for setting up our security, to Howard Reichman, who's the head of security, and a great director here at the Happy Minyan. So just show of hands, who's been before 20 Jewish Filmmakers Network events? Okay, a few. Who's been to Jew in the City events? Great. Okay, well, welcome to all of you. Welcome back, and welcome to everyone who's new. So very briefly, this is an interesting partnership this evening because we're coming from different but very complementary angles. The Jewish Filmmakers Network began actually before October the 7th, about 6 months earlier, to bring together Jews in the entertainment industry. The Talmud says that the cure is provided before the illness, so to speak. So we'd actually set up a whole community, and there was a 5-point manifesto, a 5-point intention. I'll just very briefly run through. So the first thing was bringing together Jews in the industry in the room, especially in this time. Then we were looking at how people could collaborate on projects, particularly when various things are going on in Hollywood and elsewhere. Then seeing if people could create content which was going to somehow move the needle. We gave up trying to convert anti-Semites to being pro-Israel or pro-Jewish, but at least people who are undecided, the undecided voters, see if they could move over. Then to bring in non-Jewish allies, because it's good to remind ourselves that not everyone hates us. There is, I'm sure there's a better way of phrasing that, we'll go there. And then the last one, which is more new, we'll bring in Israeli filmmakers as well, and making connections with Israeli government, Israeli film industry. And so this year alone, we've had events in Sundance, in Cannes, in Los Angeles, in London, and here tonight. So that's what we're up to. This is very much community focused, and we'll invite you, particularly in LA, for more community events as things go on. So tonight's partnership is with Jew in the City Hollywood Bureau, which Allison is going to present, and based on her research. And we first met Allison, was actually the very first speaker at our Sundance event 3 years ago. So Allison Josephs is the executive director. Am I speaking too quickly, by the way? I'm working on the clock. Does everyone understand the strange parlance that I'm speaking in? Okay. So, sorry? Super. Thank you, Danny. Okay. So Allison is the founder and the executive director of Jew in the City and of the Jewish Institute for Television and Cinema, and she's been involved in Jewish advocacy for over 20 years, and she's a Torah partner, Chevruta, for Mayim Bialik. Variety named Allison as an advocate for inclusivity in the entertainment industry. Should I really read all this?
No, don't.
I'll hand over to you.
Jump in.
All right, Allison.
I'm here.
There you go.
Okay. So thank you to Marcus and to the Jewish Filmmakers Network. We're so happy to be partnering with you in these really challenging times. It's so great to come together. It's so great to work with other Jewish organizations. We do have a lot of people that are not happy with us right now, and there's a lot of joy in coming together here. So just a quick background about who I am and what this organization is, and why we brought this panel together tonight. So we're actually got a grant for this evening to commemorate October 7th. And what I would say is that what has happened since October 7th is that Jews have become more and more dehumanized than ever in social media and news media. And what I would argue is that there has actually been some dehumanization in Hollywood that's really happened from the beginning. And that's where our organization comes in. Jew in the City was founded in 2007. With a much more narrow focus. It was originally, the idea was to change negative perceptions of Orthodox Jews. And before I explain why that happened, I need to tell you why I decided to become Orthodox, because it's a weird choice to many people. I was raised to very much dislike Orthodox Jews. Some of my earliest memories were my father coming home, treating his Orthodox patients and telling us they're dirty, they're smelly, they're ignorant, they can't speak English. That's a lot of Jewish joy there, right? And when I was 8, a father in my public school had a mental breakdown, killed both of his kids and himself. And so I came home from a triple funeral in 4th grade and basically said to my parents, "Why are we here?" And they just stared back at me. And suddenly I had let a cat out of the bag that I didn't know how to put back in. And so when I was distracted, life was great. And in the quiet moments, I would have panic attacks and insomnia. And at the end of high school, I met a modern Orthodox teacher at an after-school Hebrew high, and all the judgment that I had about him, which in large part came from media, in real life he was so different. And so Jew in the City was really a culmination of using social media to change the narrative and confront the tired tropes that happened again and again. And we had a pretty successful run, and then social media just got completely nuts, and Keter started funding everything. And we kind of felt like we weren't making so much progress. In 2021, very accidentally, I came across an article written by an award-winning reporter named Melina Saval. She's in the room here today. And she wrote about how tropes and caricatures of Jews on television and film is increasing anti-Semitism. And if we want to stem the tide, we have to do something about it. I wrote to her and I said, "Melina, this is great. What can we do?" And she's like, "I don't know what to tell you." And I'm like, "I'll do something." And she's like, "Who are you?" And then in passing, she mentioned a woman named Sue Obeidi to me. And I Google her, and she runs this thing called Muslim Pack Hollywood Bureau. And I'm like, oh, so that's why their representation has gotten so much better recently. And they have consultants and they do trainings and they're working with the studios and the studios are funding them. And so I decide I'm feeling very emotional. I should go onto Instagram and just tell everybody, what have the Muslims done? The Jews need to do this too. Someone should start it. As I'm trying to tag Muslim Pack Hollywood Bureau, I accidentally tag NAACP Hollywood Bureau. I'm like, wait a second. Black community has this too. At that point, I Google Asian Hollywood Bureau, and I realized that everybody but the Jews has this. And why does everybody but the Jews have this? Because of that trope of Jews run Hollywood, Jews are just fine, Jews are white and privileged, leave me alone. And so nobody really wants to have that fight, but I like that kind of fight. And so what we did was we found out what all the other Hollywood bureaus do. Some people on our board said Jew in the City doesn't sound very professional. I was like, let's see if we can rename that JITC, Jewish Institute for Television and Cinema. That sounds good. And so that became our new name. And so what the other groups do is they do research, and I'm going to present an overview of the research we did with USC that came out in the last year. They do trainings to executives and creatives so they understand what the problems are and how to avoid them. And then they put culturally competent consultants in the room. And so we basically built out the model that all the other groups are doing. When we had our panel at Sundance in 2023, we were the first group of Jews that had ever had an official Sundance panel before. Every other minority group had been doing it for years. And so we are we also host Jewish Media Awards. We had our second, we're gearing up now for our third. NAACP Image Awards are 55 years old. GLAAD Media Awards are 35 years old. We are behind. And if you're wondering, is this it? I sometimes wonder that myself too, but yes, it seems to be. So here we are. So I want to just go to my slides now if we have, okay. So just very quickly, I'm going to run through these slides and you can find Jews on screen. You can find the full study if you'd like to see that.
Yeah. There's 3 more seats at the front if anyone wants to come forwards. There's 3 seats in the front. You're welcome to take them.
Okay, so what we did was we studied 108 general Jewish characters across scripted U.S. television in 21 and 22. We began the study in 23. We didn't finish it until nearly 25. That's how long it took. And then we also studied 30 Orthodox episodes. No one had ever done that before. It's really a group that no one cares about. An even worse group right now is Zionists. We haven't gotten there yet. That's later. But actually, Zionists are worse than Orthodox Jews. In the study, if we could open this up. Okay. What we found was that Jewish diversity on screen was very limited. First of all, there's a lack of authentic casting of Jews. We were only able to find 56% of actors casted playing Jews were confirmed Jews. And with other groups, there seems to be a higher level. Judaism is not only a religion, we're also an ethnic group. And while there's not one specific Jewish look, there are certain things that sometimes tend to be Jewish features. 95% of the Jewish characters were played by white presenting actors. 90% of them were very white, light actors. If you think about sort of this moment now politically where we're being called white European colonizers, if what's being shown on the screen is very light people, that really cuts off our indigenous connection to the Middle East. I'm Ashkenazi. Most of my life I have been confused for being ethnic or exotic or where are you from, even though my family was exiled to Europe. And I think it's very important that we show a more diverse type of Jew on the screen. Okay, now next, and then also the discrepancy happens with gender. Jewish women less likely play their own parts. This could be, one theory is maybe some internalized shame about, is the Jewish woman beautiful enough to play the Jewish part? Can she be the leading lady? Before this was just a theory, but now we actually have some data to back that. We keep going here. Okay, so visibility of Jewish identity is limited. So only 18% of Jews talk about being Jewish on the screen. Most of the time, they're kind of more in hiding. If you remove the Orthodox Jews and the Jewish professionals like rabbis and funeral directors that are kind of in that scene to play the Jew, only 13% of the time are the run-of-the-mill Jews discussing being Jewish, because being Jewish is a little bit hidden. And when they do talk about being Jewish, although they weren't able to find so much evidence of shame, they did not find so much pride. That's why the panelists sitting next to me tonight are so special, because we are seeing actually what we want to see in their projects. Let's keep going. Okay, for the Orthodox Jews, just really horrible dehumanization. What the study actually indicates in a footnote is that the researchers caught none of it. I actually had to rewatch 30 episodes myself, because the high levels of othering, dehumanization, sullen people, people that hate their lives, were so prevalent that they actually had to go back and change the research. But very high instances of people rejecting their lifestyle, just being miserable people. And you know what? When you've chosen this way of life, or you're raised that way, like my kids are, it's a pretty horrible thing to see that reflected on the screen. Okay, and then the recommendations here tonight, which we missed a slide over there. Wait, one more slide. Wait, can we keep going? One more slide. Okay, fine. Oh, recurring tropes. Tropes were very prevalent. This was something also we did not have data behind, but the majority of characters did have at least one trope. And they were the things that you would expect: wealth, elite jobs, overbearing mothers, nebbish sons. Again, there are ways to tell stories that are not caricatures, and there are ways to lean into pride, and we're not there yet. Okay, let's keep going. And then just the recommendations from the researchers are: show Jewish pride and joy, Jews embracing tradition, cast authentically, use diversity and specificity in Jewish stories, let Orthodox Jews speak for themselves, and depict Orthodox Jews as real, relatable people. All the recommendations that we have are things that we saw on fact sheets of other groups. And so anyway, you can see the rest of the study online, but I'm just very excited here tonight to be able to present to you projects that actually are following our recommendations, because there's not so many out there. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Alison. Thank you for your very, very important work. It's really powerful stuff. Welcome to people who've just come in. It is a Jewish gathering. Has anyone got any complaints so far? Anything you want to air? Grievances? Okay. All right. So now the panel. It's quite an amazing panel. And so firstly, I'm going to introduce from left kind of to right and then back to left in no particular order. Alison Peck. Alison wrote You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, fabulous Adam Sandler film with Idina Menzel. It's beautiful, it's funny, but now is not the time to sing your praises, that will come. But it's a wonderful film. It was #1 Netflix, US and worldwide, rightfully so. Alison also wrote Work It, starring Sabrina Carpenter, Ugly Dolls. She's currently writing Red Flags for Happy Madison, has developed more projects with Seth MacFarlane. She's a USC graduate with a BFA in screenwriting, born in New York, raised in Houston, and here in LA. Welcome. Sal Litvak, my pal Sal, your pal Sal. Sal was born in Santiago, Chile, and raised in New York, a graduate of Harvard, NYU Law, UCLA Film. He's the founder of Pictures from the Fringe. He's the creator of Accidental Talmudist, the world's biggest Jewish podcast, biggest Jewish channel. Sal's latest film called Guns and Moses, which is an absolute must-see. It's gone through various national screenings, hopefully international soon. It's on streaming platforms. Guns N' Moses stars Mark Feuerstein, Neil McDonough, Alona Tal, Christopher Lloyd, Great Scott, and Dermot Mulroney. And his earlier films include When Do We Eat? Is the cult Passover classic. And Sal's second movie is Saving Lincoln, which is fantastic. I'm no way biased, despite being in the movie playing Detective Alan Pinkerton. Sal is here tonight and with his wife, Nina. And Lawrence, who I'm not going to introduce because The screen is going to do the intro for Lawrence Bender.
You know, you're a very sensitive person for a cold-blooded killer.
Clearly, you don't know me.
We're going to be doing one thing, and one thing only. Killing Nazis.
Now you gotta listen to this, man, because this concerns you.
Really? Yeah, it does. It's a fucking lucky day.
Don't you hate that?
Hey, what?
Uncomfortable silences.
Here it comes. You gonna bark all day, little doggy, or are you gonna bite? You got a corpse minus the head in the garage. Take me to it.
How do you like them apples?
If I have to tell you to shut up one more time, I'm gonna shut you up.
Buddy, be cool. You be cool.
Impress me.
Do you love me, Jerry?
Adore you, sweetheart.
I'm ready to step up. Now you want help?
Ready for the real thing?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
I don't particularly enjoy violence. That being said, you are currently in company of extremely violent individuals.
I think this just might be my masterpiece.
You got some balls.
Amazing, I can even walk.
It is our time to secure our future.
We've taken important steps forward to stop the spread of nuclear weapons.
The very best there is.
I'll hand over to you. I'm going to have this. Thank you, Lawrence Bender. I'm going to hand over to Allison to actually ask the first questions. I'm going to ask panelists just to stand up when you're answering.
Sure, yeah.
I want you just to imagine we're up on a raised platform. It's televised as beautiful screens.
Might
The
be
power of
able to-
theatre. Okay, Allison will take off with our first question.
Just because I wanted to have my new little video go after Lauren's entire body of work. We forgot to show it earlier, so we just put out a viral video that kind of encapsulates really the message that we want to give to creatives, and we're going to show it now quickly and then jump into the questions. Hi, I'm going to give you some actions to do, so just do the first thing that comes to mind. What would you do if I asked you to talk like a Jew?
Daddy, the credit card, it's not working.
I'm sensing the whole way. I know a guy. He sells everything hand bought, even though it's really full price.
Call your mother, you're killing me.
Oi! My back! Yeah, Ma, alright, I'm gonna have kids.
Show me what it looks like to act like a Jew.
Oh, I breathed in the beard. I'm so sorry.
My name is Natano and I'm 8.5 years old.
What would you do if I told you to talk like a Jew?
Love your neighbor as yourself. Be strong and courageous. Shalom Aleichem.
Act like a Jew.
Give tzedakah. Are you okay? To be a Jew means try to tell the truth to everyone. Make good choices. A Jewish person is supposed to be kind to everybody. When you're at an amusement park and you're waiting online, you don't push and you wait patiently. Making the world a better place.
Where did you learn to see Jews behave like that?
TV and movies.
Film, TV, children were just being themselves. We're a wide range of people.
And at a time like now, we need correct information about who we are.
When I'm doing a portrayal of a Jewish person, I'm not really thinking. I'm being silly. I invite Hollywood to think.
Red alert, nothing.
And if I were to tell you now to talk like a Jew, what might you say instead?
I would just be myself.
All right, it takes a little bit of chutzpah to basically come to Hollywood and be like, hi, I've got a message for you. The response to this video has been tremendous. I didn't know how it would go. Everybody warned me not to do it. You're going to increase stereotypes. We really got such a wide range of people understanding the message. And that's why these esteemed panelists I'm sitting with really give me hope, because we have a lot of work to do, but the way forward is to kind of see the steps ahead of us. So before each of the panelists talks about their project, I'm going to just sort of quickly say what we saw in their work that speaks to the research that we're doing. So I'm going to first turn over here to Lawrence Bender. So Lawrence has not done that much Jewish content in the past, and has recently moved on to Red Alert on Paramount, which is amazing, and you must see Paramount Plus if not seen it yet. So let me preface by saying that Israeli content is usually much better than American content. So he already had, probably a better team together anyway. However, we see heroes in this show. We see qualities of people who are doing good things. We see obviously a diverse cast, and we see Jews who they're comfortable in their own skin. I think that's really a problem that we have as a problem in this country, and maybe an Ashkenazi American Jewish problem, that we're not comfortable in our own skin. And you see proud Jews that stand up, not just for their lives, but for other people. So Lawrence, thank you for making this happen. And I'm going to pass the mic off. I want to just ask you before we get into the project itself, how did October 7th change you as a Jew and as a producer?
Wow. Okay. First of all, that was great. It's really moving. Thank you. Really, it was great. Okay. I felt a certain way, which I'll say. I think many of us did. But when I went to Israel and met people who had loved ones murdered, I realized that they felt like me, only way more. And I'll explain. So I've been making movies and TV shows for almost 40 years, if you can believe that. And I've supported all different groups. I've been supportive of a lot of different issues through my career: climate change, nuclear weapon proliferation, Middle East peace. I know that sounds a little naive, and I've worked with all different types of filmmakers. I did 3 TV shows with women showrunners. I did a show about Matthew Shepard, a gay young man who was beat up and left to die on a barbed wire fence for 18 hours. I go on and on and on. On October 8th, I found that the people that I was spending so much time supporting, loving, being with, I wasn't getting the phone calls that one would imagine. Are you okay? Do you have family there? Do you have friends there? Can I come over? Can we hang out? I didn't get a lot of that. So it made me feel upset. I got angry. I started feeling alone. I had 3 different survivors come to my house a few weeks after October 7th. And I had about 150 or so people, like this kind of crowd here. And I asked the group, I said, how many people here feel afraid? Everyone raised their hand. How many people here feel alone? Everyone raised their hand. So I felt like I needed to do something. And I did a lot of different things, but Red Alert is the big something that came out of that. Let me just say one more thing, is that so the show Red Alert is about real families trying to survive on October 7th. And I'll talk more about that, but I'll just say one thing in relation to what I'm saying, is that we had all the survivors that we represented by actors in the show. They all came to the set. They were there a lot. And I spent a lot of time, I need to get, the director needs to get his shots. At the same time, we have these extraordinary people that we're honored to have on our set who are still a year and a half later very traumatized. So I spent a lot of time with them. I'm grateful for my time with them. But the one thing that I found is that they felt isolated. They felt alone. The very people who were attacked, the very people who need love and need to be held and need to be recognized are the very ones who are feeling like alone in the world, which became even more of a driving mission for myself to be able to tell their stories and make sure people in the world knew who they were.
Lawrence, I'm just going to throw a question. How did it change you in terms of your Jewish standing, or what was an impact it had on you?
October 7th?
Well, Red Alert.
Red Alert.
The process. And just for context, who has seen Red Alert? Okay, so it's phenomenal. It's on Paramount Plus, currently streaming. 4-part drama, recreating. It's beautifully told the way you've taken specific stories and through these, is it
Four stories,
4 individual storylines, and taking a seemingly impossible drama, but told in a way that really is very tremendously powerful.
How did it change?
Challenge you, or what was an impact it had on you?
So for the last 20, like since the second Intifada, without going through the whole story, I went into Ramallah. I met with Abu Mazen in the beginning of the second Intifada. I was in Egypt meeting with the old dictator, Mubarak. I was in Israel meeting with a lot of people with the Israeli Policy Forum. So over the last 25 years or so, I've been in one way or another, involved in some way. But on October 7th, with like the rest, so we're, at least me, I'm sitting in my house, very safe, watching this going on. But when I went to Israel, okay, as an American who's never been, I haven't been in Israel since October 7th, the idea of a it's a missile alert. The hell? It's like my very first morning, there's a missile alert at 10 o'clock in the morning. And by the way, the people having a meeting with apologized, said, oh, I'm sorry, we have to go into the safe room. So I take my phone out. I'm like, oh, everyone's having a good time. Don't worry, it's from the Houthis. It's south of Saudi Arabia. It's an intercontinental ballistic missile, but it takes 8 minutes to get here, and the Iron Dome gets it almost all the time. It had hit before I landed. The day before, I had hit Terminal 3 in Ben Gurion Airport in the field. If everyone remembers this, right? So United and Delta. I was lucky I was on El Al, so El Al never shuts down. So what was I saying? Oh, we come back into the room and they start the meeting again as if nothing happened. And they go, oh, how was that for you? And I'll be honest, I couldn't stop myself from tearing up. I was like, even like I'm feeling now, even telling you the story. And I was embarrassed. I didn't want to like cry in front of people I didn't know. And they said, it's okay. That's normal. You're having a normal reaction. We've been through this so many times that doesn't bother us anymore. Cut to almost 2 months later when I'm about to leave. I'm having dinner at this place who we love called Habasta in Tel Aviv with my Israeli buddy. And they're serving the fish, and the fish is coming out. Sirens go off. We're outside. They're putting down the plate. And the maitre d' comes by, and she says, oh, the safe room's inside there. And we kind of look at each other. We look at the fish, and like, it's too good. We're going to start eating. So that's... I feel like I'm taking too much time.
Thank you. No, that was I appreciate that. So thank you very much.
We'll talk more later.
Alison Peck. Okay, so Alison, would you like to rise?
Yeah, sure.
It sounds very formal in the English accent in LA. Okay, so Alison, when you created So You're So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, did you deliberately focus on Jewish joy and defying stereotypes? It was pretty amazing in the way that it felt very real. It felt very, very positive, and the way that you navigated it. What was your intention, and how did you go about it?
Yes. So a big focus of the movie, I wanted it to be focused on Jewish joy. I was very careful to not include stereotypes as much as I could, but also making it feel realistic. That's why a lot of the focus on, like, I think the easy way of doing it is like throwing money at this bat mitzvah and making it a money situation. So we really focused on making it the things that she wanted for her bat mitzvah is because she's a bratty 12-year-old and not because they're just filthy rich. And just to really show characters who didn't hate being Jewish. I feel like a lot of movies and TV show like complaining about going to Hebrew school, complaining about doing the bat mitzvah. And so I tried really hard in any part of conflict. It wasn't a problem she had with being Jewish. It was just the situation of the pressures of being 12, 13 years old.
So just show of hands, who's seen the movie? Okay, so fine, people are familiar. Right, good.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really the focus, and trying to make it not a Jewish issue and not make it seem like what's the point of a bat mitzvah in general, but more of just what's the point of doing this when my life is falling apart.
which was immensely refreshing. I mean, it's very refreshing as well as being genuinely very funny. Alison.
Yeah, I want to just give a little rating of like what we saw in the film that we loved. So yes, we saw you defying stereotypes, and I want to call out the fact that Hollywood specifically wants to show money. They want to show lavish houses and parties, and I get that. And so when there's a fight about don't get the fancy dress, don't do the bat mitzvah on a yacht. Mine was on a yacht, but whatever. No, but I wasn't in the movie. That really mattered. Another thing that we have on our fact sheet, because we developed a fact sheet based on our research that we've distributed to the studios, it's being used. We looked at other groups' ways of describing what they wanted, and we learned things about ourselves. So one thing we saw from the Black fact sheet was that they wanted to see more examples of Black women being loved, that we don't see that so often on television. And what we realized is that Jewish women are often not loved on TV and film. They're either passed over for the preferable blonde on a show that's come out recently, second season, or they're abused by their crazy religious husband. And so the fact that you have this happy Jewish family and a happy Jewish couple, that was so unusual. But I have to tell you, my favorite part of the whole film was when our bat mitzvah girl is standing at Hebrew school raising money for tzedakah at the end, and she looks at her community and she looks at her life and she says, I love being a part of this. My jaw dropped, because I don't think I've ever seen a Jew that we like, that's relatable, that we would want to hang out with, to just say, I love being a part of this. And it's so simple and it's so groundbreaking. And I just want to say, like, kol hakavod, like, really amazing.
Thank you, Alison. Salvador. Okay, so I've got a question. I mean, there's questions written down. I kind of feel like I want to say, what do you want to talk about? But Sal's beautifully, as well as being a masterful director and writer. Sal's wife, Nina, who is co-writer as well. But Sal, we'll begin by asking, I mean, when you went into Guns N' Moses, was it with the intention of defying Jewish stereotypes and showing Jewish pride? Was it just write the best movie possible? What was your way in?
Thanks for coming out, everybody. It's really great to be with you and at the Happy Minyan, a place I've davened many times and really enjoyed. Allison, wow, that's really important what you're doing. You should be matzliach. I hope you have tremendous success. It's so needed. Well done. I'm very honored to be here with you, Allison and Lawrence. So Nina and I do everything together. We're a screenwriting team, and I direct. We don't direct. No, I often have to have my co-writer banned from the set because she would tell me how to do it. Just kidding. But we set out to make a great thriller. That's really what we wanted to do. And to prepare for making a thriller, because our earlier movies were a historical drama and a comedy, we watched a thriller a day for 2 years. We set up a projector and a screen in our living room and really just went deep on the genre, especially every list, top 50 thrillers, top 100 thrillers. We saw them all. And we wanted to make a movie that would be worthy to be on such a list at the end of the project. We knew it was going to be a Jewish movie because we have an audience on our platform, Accidental Talmudist. And then it was like, what's the story going to be? It was going to come from our world because we live in this world. We're from Yidden. I mean, we're Orthodox Jews, and we could bring something fresh, as Allison says exactly. I mean, if you see an Orthodox Jew in a movie, it's always to make fun of him. It's always, silly costumes, silly accent, or people who are running away from being religious. And obviously, we were not going to do that. But as we were looking for the story, it was 2019, and the shooting happened at Poway. And it was on the 8th day of Passover. The next day, I went down to the funeral of Lori Gilbert Kay, who was murdered that day. And I interviewed Rabbi Goldstein, who had his fingers shot off in that event, for Accidental Talmudist. And we're very moved by him, and then watched him become a public figure in the ensuing days, calling for mitzvahs, calling for something beautiful and holy and righteous to come out of that darkness. We found that very moving, and so we were inspired. And while Guns N' Moses is not the story of the Poway shooting, Rabbi Mo is quite inspired by that, and this call, to do something righteous publicly in the midst of an attack. And to defend his community. I'd become a member of Magen Am. Are people here familiar with Magen Am, what it is? So thank God for my fellow community team members. We carry firearms. We go through an incredible, extensive training so that we can do so safely and defend our communities. And please God, we should never need to use our guns. But if we do, we will not be a soft target. And this is a time where we have to be aware that the danger is real. It's not paranoia to think that people want to hurt us. It's true. And so we take that very seriously. And something that's, funny, Lawrence can probably attest to this, that a lot of times in movies, people have to learn how to shoot who didn't know how to shoot. But it's actually never been done that there's actual firearms training in a movie. Right? It's always a few tin cans on a fence, a little montage, and the guy's a dead shot. And that's not the real world at all. So it's very much about taking our experience from our community, from the real world, and translating it to the screen. And something else that I will comment on is, Allison, you talked about how seldom Jewish actors are playing Jewish roles when they are juicy, good roles. And I got to tell you that there's a lot of Jewish actors in Hollywood who have been silent since October 7th and who don't want to play Jewish roles. They don't want to be typecast. They're afraid that they're going to be in that Jewish box too much. There's a lot of cowardice in Hollywood. People who are afraid of their interns and what their interns will say. And I think it's wonderful that I think we have seen since October 7th, the community coming together, including the Hollywood community. And I hope that we're going to see a lot more projects with a diversity of Jewish characters. I mean, we're an ancient people, right? Forget the stereotypes. We can offer hundreds of different nuanced experiences on screen that haven't been depicted or portrayed before at all, because an ancient people brings a lot to the table. And I hope we'll see a lot more of that in the coming weeks and years.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to give our rating of this movie. So I think go see Guns N' Moses if you haven't seen it yet. What I would say, one of the main reasons that it worked is because it was people living this life writing about what they know, and that's a rule in general for basically every group, really not for Orthodox Jews. It's usually someone else is telling the story that they don't know, and they have their bias and they project onto it, and I know what that's like because I was there, but it was so authentic. The joy was there, obviously. The rabbi was curious, which is something that we don't usually associate with Orthodox Jews, closed-minded. He reached out to people outside of his world, including non-Jews. But I have to say, in terms of the heroism in the movie, I have seen so much footage, not since October 7th, but in the last many years, of Hasidic Jews on security footage getting the crap beaten out of them in cities, major cities around this country, and they're not generally fighting back. They're sort of like the Israeli Jew, that's the baby killer, that's sort of one model, and then that rabbi in the long frock and beard that just gets his yarmulke hit off and gets punched and this is a strong and proud religious Jew who's going to protect himself and his family and his community, and it was so empowering for me to see. We don't need to be that person that just is a punching bag for our enemies. We have ways to protect ourselves, and it certainly inspired me, and that was a really new take, so that was awesome.
Thank you, Alison. Thank you, Sal. And for anyone who finds they're not motivated or thinking, I can't get my project done, in addition to shooting and distributing and directing the movie, Sal also has a small side project of being in a 7-year cycle of giving a full Talmud class online every day that lasts for well over an hour and is engaging, and just published a book called Let My People Laugh, Greatest Jewish Jokes, and weekly Torah newsletters just on the side. No more excuses. Okay, so we're now going to do shorter questions for each of the panelists, and then there may be a bit of time for Q&A. Lawrence, firstly, on a personal note, thank you for the good times over the years, although we've only just met this evening. Just the excitement of a university going to see Pulp Fiction, having the Uma Thurman poster on the wall, the revenge tragedy fantasy of Inglourious Bastards. I don't know if... I don't know if your old friend's likely to write another one post October 7th. All in good time. But so, Lawrence, with everything that you've done, how does working on Jewish projects differ from your past body of work? And and how are you doing it, selling it right now?
Okay, I know these are they're long, like big questions with
Feel
very
free
short
to
answers.
Answer and say whatever you like, though, equally.
First of all, working on this show was life-changing because you asked this question in so many different ways. First of all, I'm talking about my people, right? It's it's always amazing when you're working with a different group of people. When you talk about your own people, it just feels different. It just does, right? And for most Jews in the diaspora, I would say I'll reflect for myself. I feel like my soul is in Israel. That's where my soul lives, even though my house is here and my family's here. So living in Israel, being basically only American. Actually, my partner Jordana Rubin, we're the only two. Well, she's a Brit, but we're the only two non-Israelis. So everyone there went through this October 7th. The key grip, his brother ran Kibbutz Re'im. Kibbutz Re'im was overthrown with terrorists, right? He survived. But I mean, everyone on that crew had a moment, at least once or twice or several times. The actors are acting out things that are real, right? So the real people. We spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time myself personally in Ner Oz and Sderot and Beri and so forth. I met a lot. Every Saturday night I was in Hashd Square, backstage with the families who had loved ones in the tunnels, and so forth. So, I mean, this is, and I wanted to do that. So I'll just tell you a quick story, just to give you a small sense. One story, when I was visiting Re'im and in the Nova area, I met this woman, Liat. And I met another man, Shoam Cohen. And Liat, he was presented much more stable and grounded, and you would never know anything had ever happened to him. Although this guy's an insane hero, the story is extraordinary. Liat, and by the way, they're both police officers. So what people don't remember is that in Nova, all these young people were killed, but also a lot of police officers were killed. And they're not SWAT team members. They're not army people. They're like people who live in a small area that happen to carry a gun, right? So they're not like these military. They're just regular people. So she had this ball that she squeezed, and she was very, you could just feel the trauma coming out of her pores. So I asked her, what do you do to take care of yourself? I used to ask everybody I met. Eventually, I would ask this question because it's a year and a half has gone by, and what do you do to live? Like what? So she was telling me, and I said, did you ever do EMDR? And EMDR, people might know, is a trauma-based therapy. And she said, yes. Actually, 6 months after October 7th, I started doing EMDR. Now, she had this best friend named Yulia. Yulia was murdered. And I realized that Yulia, she was blaming herself for all this time that she left Yulia behind. And that's why Yulia is dead. And then she realized that Yulia is actually in front of her and that she didn't have to blame herself for Yulia's death. And it was just such an amazing moment. So Liat used to come visit the set quite often, and Yulia's widower, also came. So these guys were really close. Liat also, she brought me over to the memorial where the little picture of Yulia was, and she gave me a bottle of wine when I left that day with Yulia's picture on it. And I brought that bottle of wine to pass over dinner, and I told the story of Yulia. And it just felt like I'm passing on a story. It just felt like what we do, right? This is what Jews do, right? We pass on stories. It just felt so good as a non-Israeli just to be able to tell them, these Israeli people, that, and they were like, it was a beautiful evening. So Yulia's widower came to the set, and he wore dark glasses. I'm the producer. I welcomed him. I said, here's the monitor. Here's a chair. Can I get you a glass of water? Didn't say a word. He shook my hand. And you could just feel that he's just doing everything possible to hold everything in. He's not saying a word. And I won't go through the whole day, but a lot happened during that day. And by the end of the day, he was leaving. He saw me. He kind of waved. He said, come here. And he said, let's take a picture. And we took a picture, and he smiled. And he said, thank you. And I felt like, not that he's all over Yulia, but there was just this beautiful day of some healing went on that day as he watched the Nova scenes take place where Yulia was killed. He watched that in a safe way. He went through stuff, but he felt he just had a therapeutic moment. And that was every day on the set, some version of this, every day, versions, plural of this one. We had heroes. Incredible heroes. I'll tell you one more quick story.
Then we're going to, we want to hear you. Then we're going to move on.
All right,
please.
No,
please. Well, one more.
All right, one more quick story.
Well, we might make you stay for 2 more minutes
All right.
at the end.
So there was an actress, Moran. She had a niece in Greece, and she's on vacation in Greece. She's a young lady, and she said, "There's a red-headed police officer who saved my life. If she's there, you got to say hello." So this woman, Bat, her name is Bat. Bat's a superhero. Bat saved 100 people with a pistol and some extra bullets, and so we FaceTimed them, and this young lady said, "You saved my life. You're the one. I was hiding down by your feet as you were shooting at terrorists," and it was just like, this is crazy, and because it's real. This is not like it's not a movie, and the woman, Bat, smiled. But she didn't show a lot of emotion because you could see the pain that she was still in. So I asked her, "Do you remember the names of all the people you saved?" And she said, "I remember the names of the people I didn't save." Exactly. So it was just that kind of extraordinary film. And by the way, I'm really proud of what we filmed. So behind the scene and while we're filming was that.
Thank you. And that was so beautifully told as she was driving backwards and forwards, and the car was increasingly bloody. And I think it's just two thoughts. One is the power of art to heal. These are so much more than just works of art. These are tremendously healing to the Jewish soul, in addition to their entertainment levels. But also, I think one thing which is particularly interesting from a writing angle, just with Red Alert, the study of how do you resolve the unresolvable for the writers in the room. How do you resolve the fact that people aren't coming back from Gaza, there are deaths, that this is still alive? And for those who haven't seen it, this is still one thing maybe to look out for, is seeing that actually each of these gets resolved. You leave feeling complete whilst very sad. And that in itself is a tremendous achievement. So thank you for all of this. I hope that's fair as a reflection on it. Okay, so we're going to have, so before we do our brief Q&A, Alison Peck. Alison, it's a sort of similar question about how did you find it selling into Hollywood? Would you do more Jewish projects? Sort of, where are you up to? What's your take on it?
I thought it was going to be a lot harder, and surprisingly and happily, it wasn't. So obviously I pitched the movie. This was pre-October 7th. But, you know, anti-Semitism is on the rise. It felt like a very pertinent topic. And so when I pitched the movie, I did emphasize, like, now more than ever, we need positive Jewish stories. And I think that really resonated with a lot of people. And then when Adam Sandler came on board, well, then it was easier to pitch. But there was no pushback from the topics. And something that I really respected and loved in the process of writing it and making the movie, no one from the studio, producers, anybody was like, you need to better explain this. You need to, it feels too Jewish. My goal was really to make it feel authentic, like it was created by Jewish people, that there were little things that only kind of like a Jewish person growing up in that kind of environment would recognize, but then still be accessible to anyone. So I tried really hard to not make it feel like you couldn't watch it if you weren't Jewish. And I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, like, you know, I'm not Jewish, but I love the movie. It reminded me of my Kinsey or things.
So
or
I
Sweet 16.
want to throw a question in on the
Yeah.
writing process then. It's very interesting the way that you've balanced the Jewish character and the non-Jewish character, having it authentically Jewish. I don't want to compare it to I'm thinking of one I want to compare it to, but we're certainly in a shul. Lashon Hara speaking negatively isn't the way to go. But how you balance that, and then how you do the turnaround at the end, which is a stunning moment. How easy or how hard, or like how long did it take you to go through that to kind of get to those structural points?
Well, it is. So there is a book that it's based on, which is it came out, I want to say maybe like 15 years ago. I don't know if anyone's read it, by the same title, and it has such a great Jewish voice to it. So that helped a lot. The plot has obviously changed a bit, but I was very careful to not make to make sure that there was a wide range of different types of people in the movie. So it wasn't just like all the Jewish characters are really annoying and then the few ones who aren't are great, you know? And so I tried to balance that with also these are 12 and 13-year-olds. So there's going to be some brattiness. There's going to be some tension, and you have to have that conflict for the movie. So it was kind of like a balancing act. And what helped is having a lot of Jewish people making this movie. So it was Jewish producers, Jewish director, Jewish writer. And I think that really helped because there was just sort of this shorthand. Everyone was talking about, oh, this is the kind of bat mitzvah I had. This is the, you know, and so you sort of had these touchstones that I think everyone understood. So it helped to make it really authentic.
Terrific. Thank you. Thank you. That was our Inside the Writer's Studio question. Now, Sal, a very simple question. Please will you share something profound and insightful of your choosing? Sal's a good friend. We can do it.
Yeah, and you should all see Marcus's play as Marcus Alive. It's amazing. It's the best play I've ever seen. I'm actually going to answer your question, though.
Great.
So, about selling the movie. Because we made Guns N' Moses independently. And, you know, people have gotten a movie together, and it's such a struggle at every stage of the process, you know, writing it, raising the money, casting it. And we had all the difficulties that every independent movie has. But we wrote it and we shot it before October 7th. And we knew that a movie about Jews under attack who fight back was always going to be relevant. But we never imagined a horror like October 7th, nor the explosion of Jew hatred around the world since October 8th. And that has changed the market, and it has created all kinds of difficulties for everybody who's working in this space. So, you know, I think there's a lot of creatives here, you know, buckle up. It's not easy. It's quite difficult. And an example of that, which you can all help us with, is if you look right now on the IMDb page of Guns N' Moses, so our rating overall is 5.5. But if you actually look at the breakdown, you know, normally when people rate a movie, the public rates a movie, it's a bell curve, right? So somewhere there's the center of the bell, and, you know, that's where the scores congregate. For us, it's an inverted bell curve. There's a ton of 10s and 9s, and we would have a very high score, except that there's also a huge stack of 1s, 1 out of 10. Now, if you see our movie, if you even see our trailer, it's not a 1 out of 10. I mean, it's not like a piece of garbage where that a 1 out of 10 would imply. So who are these people saying 1 out of 10? I'm sure they haven't seen the movie. They just hate the idea of Jews who can defend themselves, authentic portrayal of religious Jews, etc. So really, we ask the community to go to IMDb and vote, 9s and 10s. You know, if you've seen the movie and you love it, vote for Guns N' Moses. And the same on Rotten Tomatoes. We do have a very high audience score, thank God, but it's because people step forward and help. And you really have to support your fellow filmmakers, your fellow creatives. This is not just true of movies. I'm sure it's true of books, of social media. We have to help each other out. We have to stand together. That's never been so important as now.
Terrific. Thank you. Thank you, sir. And the question I'm not going to be asking is, what's it like to work with Quentin Tarantino, Adam Sandler, Christopher Lloyd, and to learn Torah with Mayim Bialik? There's also a great article about Lawrence, the feature of this week's Jewish Journal. It tells the story much more deeply. And if you can get your hands on a copy, it's well worth a read. And I've got my column on page 9. All right, so we're now going to open up to a Q&A just for a Jewish gathering. Just to clarify, a question is a sentence or two of words that ends with a question mark. There's no dots, ellipses, no run-ons. We're gonna actually take 3 at a time to open up. There's only 3 people with hands up, so perfectly. You could stand up, say your name, what you do in the industry, and then ask your question. Yes.
Hi, Sarita Stevens. How did you react to the people you thought were friends? They gave you negative reactions. You thought they were, you know, partners and stuff like that.
Thank you, Sarita.
How did you react to the people that you thought were friends?
Well, I'm going to take all the questions. We'll take 3 questions, then you can choose which you want to answer. So I mean, sorry, not choose what you want to answer, but I mean, yeah, we're trying to absorb it. Okay, how did you react to the people you thought were your friends? Ron Rappaport.
Sal, finished shooting before October 7th, at least late 2025. What were those 2 years?
Okay, you know what? Since these are directed, Lawrence, why don't you take it and run? There's only so much you can control a Jewish gathering. Yeah, Lawrence.
I didn't hear the question. Sorry.
Okay, how people? So your friends who gave negative feedback, how did you respond to them?
You mean after October 7th?
After to Red Alert specifically.
Oh. I haven't heard anybody. Well, okay, the only criticisms I got from Red Alert so far, the people who like Jew haters wouldn't dare talk to me directly, because I would just push back, and they know that. But I don't. It's the same thing. You know, we have the same problem. You know, it's like this inverted thing. If you go into IMDb, you know, if you go to the ratings, you see a lot of anti-Jewish people just trying to smother it down. The part where I've gotten some from Israelis, the only like negatives I've gotten, but not like you're saying, is like I literally got when Israeli said to me, you know, you really sanitized it. I go, yes, we did. But I mean, I watched the 42 minutes of footage, and that was horrific and sanitized. They didn't show the rapes, and they didn't show the burning of lives. And you know, it was pretty bad. Obviously, we're making something for a worldwide audience. So I said that you know, you see people getting killed, but we see most of the horror off screen. Some people thought that, is it too soon? We felt like, I mean, for some people it did feel too soon, but in general, it's like it wasn't soon enough. For me, I made this really for non-Israelis as well. It was a big hit in Israel, but I made it for non-Israelis. I made it for the world, so they understood what the truth is, why we're here today, especially with the hostages back. Even more so, if we're trying to have peace, people need to understand what got us here in the first place. Whether you're left, on the right, whatever, something happened on October 7th. People need to know it happened, and by doing it as a drama as opposed to a documentary, which I love documentaries, but not everybody watches them. So seeing a drama and then go, oh, that's real. Maybe we have the shot at changing some minds.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you. We're going to have, okay, so two more questions. Comedy writer Ron Rappaport, Israeli-American actress Talia Martin. Ron, could you ask your question again to Sal, please?
You finished shooting.
Are you okay for 3 more minutes, or you've got to run out and do that?
I'll take 20 after. Okay, great.
We're going to have a quick photo of Alice, and maybe I can have a quick photo with you.
We had post-production, we planned 80 visual effects shots, we did 300, and it's not, you know, Space Invaders type of visual effects. It's the hidden stuff that you don't see. Everything takes time. We had our own troubles. I can't blame it on, you know, the worldwide culture, but we had the terrible bad luck that the very worst person to be a crook on your movie was a crook on our movie, the production accountant. And he ripped off all our post-production money, and then we had to go and raise that again. It was a disaster. And he was one of the few Jewish members of the crew. I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible. And thank God that this bastard finally got indicted, and we were just at his arraignment downtown at the federal courthouse. So that's just the colorful aspect of filmmaking. But then selling the movie, that was something else, right? And then the decisions that we made to get it out there. I mean, it's just been such an up and down, unprecedented journey. We had a theatrical release in July. We're supposed to have 300 to 500 screens. It was under 100. That was a disaster. It was very unexpected. But then out of nowhere, Fathom offered us 500 screens in September. And that's never happened before, a movie that was released and then re-released by Fathom so quickly. And so that's what it was. It was the up and down. Thank God right now you can see it on Amazon, Apple, other platforms. So please see Guns N' Moses if you haven't.
Thank you. Lawrence has to go in a second, so we're going to do a quick photo of the panelists. Don't run away. It's not over yet. There's one more question. Okay, panelists, why don't we just stand up for a second? Okay. We can come in. Okay. All right, super. Talia Martin, our only Israeli actress so far speaking tonight.
My question is to, as you make some Jewish, some Israeli creators, and maybe you have a piece of advice moving forward forward as a Jew and advice moving forward?
Great. Who wants to take it? Yeah, why not? Okay. Here you go. Here you go.
By the way, I was in one of these a couple weeks ago, and someone actually said to me, I'm afraid to. What is your advice on? I'm afraid to talk much about my Jewishness because I'm afraid that's going to hurt my chances. And what do you think? Should I feel like a little bit of a phony by not. And so I'm going to push back a little bit what actually you said. I don't think that's cowardness. It's okay to be afraid because if you're being attacked, it's okay to be afraid. And it's easy for me. I've been doing this a long time. It's easy for me to say, fuck it. Just tell everybody, and just go for it. But I've made it. I've been here. I've done it a long time. And so it's easier for me. So I said it's up to each person has their own decision when it comes to that. And I don't think one is right or one is wrong. This business without that is so hard. But this business, forget about this issue. It's not for the faint of heart, right? I think when people ask, producers, like, what's your best piece of advice? Is just don't give up. You got to keep going because it's just, there's no like rocket science to it. And I think if it's something that you really love, you just have to do it. And there's no real like solution. You just have to keep going and it'll turn around. And people here have had luck, right? And with a little bit of luck, with a little bit of talent and a lot of tenacity, you'll get there. Thank you, everybody.
Lawrence Hester, thank you. Can we have a quick photo here? Okay. Thanks, Lawrence. Thanks so much. Okay, Sal and Allison, do you want to chip in with that, or did that cover it for you? Okay, great. So, thank you very much, Lawrence. We're actually we'll have the everyone's going to be around after, so we're actually going to wrap the questions there. Sorry, and then it's nearly time for sushi and wine. Now for the community bit, which is this. We haven't got time for everyone to introduce themselves at this point because don't stand in the way between Jews and food. But it would be helpful. This is very much with the Jewish Filmmakers Network part is the sustainable community. And so really just would like to know sort of who's who in the room. Could all the actors in the room raise your hand or stand up? Why don't you just stand up? Actors can stand up or raise your hand. Whatever. Okay, good. Okay, you can sit down now. Thank you very much. All right, directors, can you stand up now? So actors, mark out who you got to focus afterwards. Great, thank you very much. Casting directors. Okay, all right. Okay, we got three. Okay, actors, see, you've got three people. Writers. Okay, good. Producers. Okay, under the line, backstar, everyone else, DPs. Okay, good. DPs, ADs, makeup artists. Sorry? Entertainment attorneys. Oh, God, agents. Okay, what's your name? Good luck getting to the food. Managers. Okay, anyone who's feels left out. All right. Sorry, editors. Oh my God, editors. Sorry. Composers. Okay, composers. Great. Comedians, Danny. Okay. Great. So I would really encourage you to have new conversations. If your name tag's fallen off, get a new one. Enjoy the sushi, enjoy the wine. Allison, thank you for making this happen tonight. And that's all, folks. All right, enjoy.